Ashby, are you ready to talk through your feelings here about what you've watched in the month of May?
Speaking of trailers, I was hoodwinked, tricked, bamboozled.
Bamboozled, even.
Bamboozled. I had talked on our last episode about how excited I was to go see The Sheep Detectives.
Yes.
I have not read the book it's based on, which I think is called 3 Bags Full.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was going into it totally unawares. And I thought it would be a super cute movie about talking sheep who solve a murder. And you know how much I love Agatha Christie books. And it's very much in that sort of like...
This is Babe meets Agatha Christie.
Old-timey, yes, 100%, 100%. And I love a good old-timey murder mystery. I love when I can watch something like fun and mysterious and intriguing without it being super gory.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Nicholas Gallatin was in it, and I've been following his career since Red, White, and Royal Blue, so I thought, oh, that'll be fun. He plays a journalist and a reporter, and I had some time, so I went and saw it by myself on a Sunday night, and proceeded to spend an hour and 47 minutes. How long is it? It's not even quite 2 hours.
It's around an hour and 50 minutes.
Fighting for my life in this theater. I thankfully was wearing long sleeves because it is typically cold in a theater, even when it's hot outside, especially when it's hot outside. So I was wearing long sleeves. And for at least 20% of this movie, I had my sleeves pulled over my hands and I had them pressed up to my eyes to try and stop the leaking that was happening. And me and this lady beside me were beside ourselves. Like every time the movie would have a silent moment, you would just hear the entire theater just sort of like collectively sniffle. And I'm not a pretty crier, and I'm also not a quiet crier, which is a problem when you find yourself crying in public spaces. And so it was...
Can I ask,
rough.
Was this on a scale of 0 to us watching Hamilton together? How ugly was the cry?
So I cried probably 4 or 5 times throughout the movie. It wasn't like I just got to so in Hamilton, we got to the very end, and it shocked me so much I burst into hysterical tears. Okay. This was like...
Was this beyond Hamilton crying?
Oh, not... Okay, so let me walk you through it. So the first... I would say I cried like maybe every 15 to 20 minutes throughout this entire movie because the gut punch doesn't wait till the end. It keeps happening. Keeps hitting you.
Humbled over.
Just over. Like you get up, and then it just like socks you in the jaw again. And so for most of the movie, it was maybe like a 3 or 4 where I was just like silently weeping, and then I'd stop, and then I'd start silently weeping again and kind of like sniffling because... Look, I'm not trying to convince you not to see the movie. You should absolutely see the movie. It absolutely is a delightful murder mystery with talking sheep, and it is funny and it's heartwarming. But I feel like I'm at a point in my life right now where when I have to see things in media about like life and death and like memory and caring for pets, keeping in mind that I own animals, but also I showed sheep when I was younger. I was in 4-H. I owned lambs and I cared for them and I showed them. So like I have maybe more than the average viewer's idea of what it means to care for sheep. And I just kept like every time I got back up emotionally, it just like knocked me on my butt again. And so by the end of the movie, by the time the credits rolled, I would say I was probably at like a 6. I got it together. I got in my car. I wept driving home. And then by the time I got home, I had gotten it together again. And I walked in the house, and Daniel, who had no idea what was about to happen, looked at me and said, "How was the movie?" And I burst into tears. And at that point, I was probably a 12. And he could not understand anything I was saying. And I was just shaking. And I had my hands over my face again. And I was like, no, sheep died, they become clouds. And I just like lost it. And he was like, oh God, what's happening? And like just trying to hug me. If a stranger had walked in our kitchen, they would have thought I had just gotten the worst news of my life. And I could not get it together. It was like 15 minutes of just like racking sobs because every time I got it together, I would start thinking about it again. And I could not. I literally texted Eric and I was like, I don't know if we can talk about it on the podcast. I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep it together. It was really bad. And then the next day at work, I tried to tell one of my coworkers about it and I started crying again. And I had to be like, oh, never mind. And I had to walk back into my office because I was like, I can't talk about it. Anyway,